Good morning, everyone, on this glorious day of Tuesday, the 26th of April, and the year, well, we're flying in, and now that Easter is behind us in some ways, we perhaps are looking to see what's ahead of us in other ways, what bridges we need to cross, what bridges might be in place, and maybe what bridges we need to actually start putting in place, because as anyone who watched these bridges, maybe not the real bridge, but anyone who watched the other two bridges being erected will know that it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen just if somebody suddenly wants to go somewhere. It doesn't happen just at the decision of one person, but with planning, organisation, with lots of people working on it in all sorts of different ways. A certain amount of patience and strength and determination, then those bridges emerge from the sea, perhaps suspended across. However those bridges are made to meet shore to shore, it takes a bit of effort. And I think that's what we need to perhaps remind ourselves about post-Easter. Easter was that wonderful morning a long time ago of the sign of victory and hope. And yet it took the disciples a little time to actually get the hang of that, to understand that. It took them time, and it takes us time too. On a morning like this, when the seas look very grey, we think, well, they're grey because the skies are grey. And we know that around our world there are grey skies, not simply physical clouds, but there is a shadow across our world of pollution, of war, of hatred, of injustice. And it can, even in the wonderful reflection of Easter time, be harder to see that. We need to not look up to our God, because our God does not live in the skies. Our God lives around us and within us. But perhaps we need to raise our eyes and look until we find some sign that there is hope. Hope perhaps for today of some clearer skies and some sunshine, but in our world we can, when we look, see signs of hope through individuals' kindness, through small acts of generosity, through people stopping to really listen to what we have to say when they ask, "How are you?" Those small acts of kindness, which mean that even when it is seemingly overcast, and when you have determined and decided and pushed yourself out the door to come and have a walk in the fresh air, and it starts to rain on you, you can cope, and not just cope, and not just survive, but even in the rain, and even in the shadows, and even in the cloudy skies, we can see that the sun is shining. We can't see the sun at the moment today, not from this point anyway, but we know it's shining because there's light around us. We know it's shining because on the waters we can see little pools of light, little indications that there is something beyond which is struggling perhaps to get through, but is still, even now, in some way through and shining on us. It's so easy to get demoralised and down, especially perhaps after the high of Easter Sunday. The following Sunday is often called Low Sunday, perhaps because that's when you find in the readings of the day the disciples locked away and fearful and at very low point and low ebb in their faith, in their hope, in their inspiration. And yet we need to read on, and we need to look forward, and we need to be aware that in our world today, the sun is shining, the Son of God, offering warmth and light and comfort. When I came down here, the waters were perfectly calm. Now there are ripples of movement a sign perhaps of the wind coming around, perhaps a sign of the wind of Pentecost, which is just round the corner, perhaps a sign of the movement of the Spirit within our world, which, in order to work, first needs to disturb and move. As someone said recently, there's no point in saying, yes, I'll follow Jesus, if we're not willing to move our feet, not willing to move ourselves. And perhaps that's the easy part. Perhaps the more difficult part is to move our minds, our wills, and align them to God's, and say we're willing to move what we are thinking and our priorities and our thoughts to align with those of our God and seek out God's purpose for us in the world today. It's very still and it's very, very quiet and peaceful. Even the wildlife are fairly quiet at the moment. There was more noise as I came down through the woods. But in that calm and in that peace, a chance for us to draw in that breath. The breath of fresh air, of course, around us, it's good for us. But also to breathe in the Spirit of God into our lungs, our spiritual lungs, in order that when we breathe out, those around us will be caught up in a wee disturbance of air, perhaps around them too, and they might just catch a glimpse and experience God moving in their lives too. Peaceful lapping of the water. A few ducks out, making their voices heard very, very quietly and gently. And even Juma patiently waiting, quietly waiting, not throwing anything at me in order to get attention, but perhaps too realising the peace of this place that we can enjoy because we live here, a peace that we can enjoy wherever we live, a peace that we can enjoy because we know that the light that is shining on the water there comes from a God who wants us to live in blue skies, in peace and in harmony. On this Tuesday, perhaps we need to be like the wildlife around here, moving around, beginning to make a noise, beginning to waken up perhaps late in the day, or perhaps simply feeling that movement of water that they want to be part of, seeing friends that they want to go and meet, to join in and have a conversation and be one. Let's see what we can do today to be one, to join with others, our voices and our presence, to look for the blue skies and to discover that in the peace of this time and of our place here, it's a time to be building bridges, ready and waiting, so that we can indeed join together and be one. Have a calm day if that is what you need. Be disturbed today if that's what you need too. Spend some time thinking, wondering, looking at the world around you, listening to the wildlife, to creation. And perhaps in that listening, discover your way forward. Have a good day. Peaceful or otherwise, have a good day. And go and meet other people. Perhaps people you know, perhaps people you don't know. But together, let us be one as we are meant to be. God bless your day.